Why we need multiple approaches? That is the question, right? Yes, people are very different from each other. So if you are going to use the same approach, it's not going to be effective for everyone. Everybody is different. Yeah, if you take India, the education doesn't give a lot of importance for mental health related things. And there are a lot of researchers saying that these pop psychology things like positive thinking, law of attraction, creates further problems in clients. So I want people to understand the difference between pop psychology and professional psychology. I would say the first session is probably the last session.
Hi, I'm Srija Shyamala. I'm working as a counseling psychologist in Chennai Counseling Services. I did my MSc Counseling Psychology from Madras University, but then I didn't know how to take a counseling career forward. So that's when I joined PG Diploma in Counseling and Psychotherapy in Chennai Counseling Services. Hello, sir.
Yes.
We have developed this easy integration model, which we also practice in Chennai Counseling Services. Could you please tell me more about this AA model?
Yes. The CCS integration model I have developed based on my experience with Indian clients, especially people from Chennai. When I started practicing the models from the West, like Patterson's model or Egan's model, I found it creating much more problems for the clients. We have to take history and we have to use assessments, and our clients don't like all that. In Indian context, I would say the first session is probably the last session. If I'm going to take a lot of time in taking history and then assessments and all, for that itself, the first session will get over. After that, the client will think, what is that you have achieved in this first session for me to come to the second session, right? So people here, they don't have that much of awareness like the West, and we can't use the same ideology of whatever is Western psychology. I'm not rejecting it fully. I'm taking certain things and then I'm modifying it, culturally for the context of India. So my way of doing it, in the first session itself, we'll try to do something that is going to give them some, aha moment or some change, mild to moderate relief from the problems that they are facing. And that will encourage them to come for the next sessions. Okay. So this is an integrative approach. We are not going to use only cognitive behavior therapy or gestalt therapy or person-centered therapy. So we are going to mix it up, but at the same time, we are not going to simply mix it up randomly. There is some logic we use here, and that will help clients to understand what is exactly happening in the therapy or counseling session. And I think it is easy to learn even for the beginner counselors. So this is basically an integrative approach, and I believe it is easy. And I named it as CCS integration model. Now it has been 7-8 years I have been practicing this, and so you and other team members in CCS, we are practicing this, and we are seeing a lot of clients giving good feedback, and they are able to get something out of the first session, and that makes them to come for few more sessions further. I think this can be given as the brief introduction to this EI model.
Okay, sir. So what did you see as an issue in Western psychology so that you completely developed a new framework for Indian context?
Yes, Western psychology is based on a highly individualistic culture. If you look at them, they have done a lot of researches, meta-analysis, but their culture is very different from India and other Eastern countries. Yeah, India is very different from the West. And if you look at the culture, we are highly collectivistic and they are highly individualistic. And whatever approaches they have developed, even though they are proven in meta-analysis and researches, when we use them here, it is not really working, like cognitive behavior therapy especially. If you look at many approaches developed in the West, they are mostly thinking dominated. Here, people are highly emotional or feeling dominated. So you can't use those approaches. If you use those thinking dominated approaches like CBT, it will be very rude to our clients. Right. Then if you look at the awareness, it is very, very less in India. Okay. So it is slowly developing right now, and things are very much better while comparing with how I started before 15 years. Right now also there is still stigma to meet a counselor and coming for therapy and all. So after it becomes very, very chronic or severe, only people come to therapy. And if we are going to work on the surface level, it won't work that well, because when it is severe or chronic, you need deeper approaches like gestalt therapy or transaction analysis. So we can't use exactly one or two approaches. We need to use multiple approaches because clients are very different. Okay, every other time, you can't use the same approach here. People need to understand different things, and if you are going to use the same approach, they'll think that it is not working. When it is not working, where else to go? So if you have one more approach, then it will be useful. So that's when I have brought 10 approaches as part of the CC integration model. So it has got cognitive behavior therapy and other approaches which are proven in the West, and also some deeper approaches which are like this transaction analysis, gestalt therapy. Again, they are also proven well in the West. Okay, I'm not rejecting it completely, but at the same time, I'm making it culturally relevant. And the methodology that we use, like in the beginning itself, we try to go deeper and work on the psyche of the clients and all. That is, very, very different. And also the system, if you look at it in the West, it is either insurance based or state sponsored, and people don't have to take money from their pocket. They can go and approach the counselor, and 6 to 12 sessions easily they'll go. But here in India, it is not like that. People come for just one session or maximum 2 or 3 sessions. They don't come for so many sessions because they have to take money from their pocket and pay the practitioner. Okay, there are some hospitals, government hospitals having counselors and clinical psychologists, but that's not enough for this big country, right? So when clients cannot come for 6 or 12 sessions, when they come for 1 or 2 sessions, we need to be very, very effective in the beginning itself. So I don't take history, I don't use assessments in the beginning of the session, and I try to talk to them and try to understand what they exactly need. I try to improve their mental health. So that way, I think, we need to come up with a new culturally sensitive model for Indian context. The 3 reasons I can list here is, number 1, we are individualistic culture. Number 2, the system is very, very different here. We don't have this insurance system or state-sponsored mental health programs. Number 3, the awareness. Okay, so we are far behind while comparing with the Western countries in terms of the awareness about mental health.
Wonderful approach, sir. Like we are seeing how well it works, CC integration model, how well it works with Indian clients. But I just have one doubt, like instead of using a singular approach, why are you going for an integrative approach?
Why we need multiple approaches? That is the question, right? Yes, people are very different from each other. So if you are going to use the same approach, it's not going to be effective for everyone. Everybody is different, and every technique is not going to work for everybody, right? So we have got a lot of approaches. I think I learned around 24 approaches in college, and when I became an assistant professor, I added 2 more into the syllabus because we know that one approach is not enough. Okay, but having 26 or 24 approaches will be very, very confusing. So I have chosen 10 approaches which will be very much suitable for Indian context, and then I am using it altogether with my clients. And I have got an algorithm that will help me to choose the approach. Probably I'll use only 1 or 2 approaches in a session. I'm not going to mix up all the approaches in the single session. That will be very confusing to the practitioner and also to the client. Whereas in EC integration model, as I said, I use only 1 or 2 approaches according to the individual, according to the client in that session. Right? So there are 10 approaches I follow, like gestalt therapy, cognitive behavior therapy, rational emotive cognitive behavior therapy, solution focused brief therapy. I have categorized them based on the domination, whether it is feeling dominated or thinking dominated. And I look at the client's personality mode, and then I choose the approach according to that. So one approach is not enough to help all kinds of clients, even though the researchers would say CBT is proven to be effective for depression. In India, people with depression have got different things that leads to depression. Okay, so it is not the same depression for everybody. Okay, so they would say motivational enhancement therapy is useful for addiction, but it is not the same addiction for everybody. Okay, so everybody's addiction would be different, right? Even if it is the same alcohol or tobacco, the way they are getting addicted, whether it is social addiction or behavioral addiction, those things are different. So you can't equate all of them. Okay, so multiple approach is always better, and if I'm using a singular approach and if it is not working, I might end up telling the client, hey, it is not working. So I have to refer him to someone else. The client will lose the trust in therapy and therapist because they do not know there are different approaches. only certain approaches will be suitable to them. Most of them come for the therapy or counseling for the first time, and if it doesn't work well in the beginning, they'll think that it will never work well for them, and they will never go to any therapy or counseling in their lifetime. Okay, so for Indian context, having multiple approaches will be better, and technically I have categorized them, and then I am going to use it according to the clients. I'm not going to simply mix it up randomly.
Okay, sir, according to you, why are Indians hesitant to come for counseling?
Yeah, if you take India, the education doesn't give a lot of importance for mental health related things. I know children, they know about the parts of body, and they even know what are the different diseases people may get. My daughter, just 8 years old, and she talks about what is cancer. And people are teaching that in school to some extent, and children are having the exposure by going to hospital for cold fever or vaccination. But if you take mental health, it is not the same case, right? So people don't have that much of awareness. They don't even know the difference between anxiety, depression, and all. They think it is all one and the same here. Okay, so the minute they come to know about all these things, they already become an adult, and then they have got a lot of stigma to go to therapy, because the general idea is if someone is very, very severely affected, they only will go for therapy or counseling. That is what their idea, right? So see, when people are just sad, if they come for counseling, it is easy to help them. But they come when it is depression, fine, we will be able to help them little bit longer it may take, but when it comes to very serious thing like bipolar disorder, after the depression episode for a long period of time, it is very difficult. See, when the problem is very, very severe, only they think of coming to therapy, and when they come, we are not able to help them in few number of sessions, right? So people have to take money from their pocket, and when we tell them you have to probably come for 6 sessions, 12 sessions, because the problem is chronic or severe, they don't seem to understand that.
Sir, in most of the cases we see here, the clients come to therapy very late. So how could we make them come earlier?
Okay. In India, people think only when the problem is very, very severe, they have to meet a therapist or a counselor, because they have got a lot of stigma. They think that if it is a small issue, they can simply talk to their friends and family and resolve it. Yeah, they may get some temporary solution for that time, and they think automatically it will go away. But when it doesn't go away, then it becomes chronic and severe. See, when it is sadness, if they come to a counselor or therapist, in 1 or 2 sessions, we'll be able to help them. Okay, if they don't come, then at least when it is depression, if they come, in 3 or 4 sessions, we'll be able to help them. In some cases, we may need a psychiatrist help. But when they come with a bigger problem like bipolar disorder, then it may take 6 to 12 sessions minimum. And if we tell them to come for so many sessions, they think that it's not possible, because they have to take money from their pocket, and then it doesn't work. Then they think counseling never works. Okay, so the stigma is a very big problem, and that makes people to delay coming to a counselor or a therapist. Yes, we need to normalize people coming to counseling or therapy in the beginning of the problem itself. Right, I need the help of educational institutions for it to happen. I want the syllabus, whether it is state board or CBSE, I want them to add certain things related to mental health, about their feelings, emotions, thoughts, beliefs, attitudes, and all, to be taught in the first or second standard itself, and then reinforce it in the third or fourth standard. And then these things like depression, anxiety, the children should be known about all that. Then having a school counselor in all the schools, and then later in colleges. So that will surely help people to just experiment to understand what is counseling. Then this new licensing body, National Commission for Allied and Healthcare Professions, which will be the licensing body for counselors. I think that will standardize the profession and the education. I guess that will also help people to find out who are the genuine counselors. Right now, there are a lot of people on Instagram and Facebook, YouTube. They come and talk things from pop psychology. Whatever comes to their mind, they just say, positive thinking, law of attraction. We call it as pop psychology. It doesn't, work in professional psychology. And there are a lot of researchers saying that these pop psychology things like positive thinking, law of attraction, creates further problems in clients. So I want people to understand the difference between pop psychology and professional psychology. I think slowly it is happening. Okay, so while comparing with how I started before 15 years and right now what is the awareness, it has tremendously improved. I hope it will still improve in the coming days, and people will seek counseling or therapy before it becomes very late. So we have talked about various things today, and slowly the awareness is increasing, and these videos will also help them to get some more awareness. We are doing our part, and we hope people will get some clarity about what is counseling, what is therapy. We prepare these videos not only for the layman and also for people who are into the field of counseling and psychology. I hope this would have helped them, and we'll continue this journey, and we will keep on talking further things about how counseling is useful, and in what way it is going to be better if we create some models for India. Thank you for joining me today. Yeah, meet you all in some other podcast, people. Bye.